Welcome to the Farmhouse Gathering Porch. I'm Julie with the Farm Wife, and also on the porch today we have Annie at 15 Acre Homestead, Shawna with Homegrown Self-Reliance, and Kathi over at Oak Hill Homestead. Today we're talking about homesteading, the different kinds of homesteading you can do, from one extreme to the other. If you'll hang on, we're going to visit with the rest of them. I'll be back and we'll go from there. I hope you enjoy it.
Hi, I'm Annie from 15 Acre Homestead, and today, unlike Kathi, Shawna, and Julie, I'm talking about how to start over homesteading. I had a 15-acre farm in Weirsdale, Florida, which is right dead center of the state down there, and up until right before the COVID-19, I thought it was my lifetime dream homestead. However, when I came up here for a family emergency, my mom decided that she was going to sell the property instead of leaving it to me. And it kind of left us in a situation where we weren't sure where we're going to go. I currently am homesteading from a basement in the city in Pennsylvania at my daughter's house. It's a big change. It's a huge change, actually. But it's okay. It's adaptable. It's part of homesteading. You can do it anywhere. Today I want to talk about starting over because that's pretty much what I'm doing. There are homesteaders that have big pieces of property. There are homesteaders that live in an apartment. You can homestead from anywhere. But starting over, not knowing what you're going to have or where you're going to go, that's a little different. It's a little harder to do. When you live in the city, like I do, you don't have big gardens and big yards to be able to start a huge vegetable garden in. I can't do my edible food forest here. I mean, I could to a point, but there are also 3 grandchildren, and my daughter has a roommate with a little girl. So vegetables in the ground here aren't really the thing to do. There'd be kids tramping them, dogs walking on them, cats running through them. It's not the same as when I was down in Florida. Anyway, part of being in the city means that you have to do things a little differently. Here I have big windows downstairs here in the game room. And so I'm going to start some indoor herbs. I'm going to start some vegetables that can grow in water. I'm also going to do some container vegetables that I can grow in big pots right outside of the door that leads from the basement to the backyard. This way they're up off the ground. I can keep an eye on them. And when the temperatures drop like they have, it's 82 here today, and 3 days ago at night it was 43. So I can just grab those containers and bring them in. Although I'm limited to my gardening essay right now, especially with all of this still going on with this COVID-19, and some states aren't allowed out at all, some states are. We're having a really hard time here getting dirt, potting soil, things like that. People are just scooping it up so fast we don't have a chance to get it. I normally order my seeds from Baker's Creek Seeds, and I haven't had an ability to do that at this time. Money just hasn't allowed for that right now. My budget is saving to get a truck to be able to get my stuff, and of course towards the purchase of another piece of property. So the way that I'm homesteading is by doing things like a lot of baking, a lot of cooking. I'm teaching my daughter how to can. We're doing home skills, little repairs, tightening loose hinges, sealing up windows, recocking around bathtubs, things like that. Home skills that I can not only teach her, but my grandsons too, even though they're young. I think the hardest part about living in the city for me is that I'm very confined. It's very hard to relax because you're always near somebody. The backyard is surrounded by people on each side and 3 houses across the back. There's no alley, no road between them. There's no acre of property. It's maybe 25 by 25 foot backyard. So, we're limited here to having any kind of privacy or quiet. So when you live in the city, one of the ways to relax and step aside is to go to the country. We have a state park called Mingo Creek State Park here that we spend a lot of time at. The important thing to keep in mind is that if you're going to start over, just start with what you have. Do what you can. Go where you can go and use what you can use. You don't have access to everything, that's okay. If I don't have a huge room for vegetable gardens, which I don't here, I don't intend on growing large ones. It's kind of an adaptability thing. You got to adapt to your lifestyle, your situation. So unlike I said, everybody else who's got big pieces of property, I'm learning how to do it in the city, but you can do that. I have a really cool post that I put out this past week on the things that you need to start homesteading. And there's a lot of links in there for new homesteaders, especially ones that are going to start over in a completely different community in a different area. So you might want to check that out. In the meantime, let's see what everybody else has to say about their homesteading situation. Have a great day, okay?
Hi, I'm Kathi at Oak Hill Homestead. We've lived here in Oklahoma for about 15 years now. When we first moved here, we had older teenagers and a lot more mouths to feed, a lot more hands to help with the work, and we had a lot of livestock at that time. Our daughter really liked horses and she helped me with the dairy goats. We also had the chickens and the rabbits, and we raised a steer one year. We raised pigs for the freezer. We had sheep that we raised for the freezer, a couple of alpacas. We just had a variety of things over the years. But when the kids left us as empty nesters, the chief and I decided that we would phase out the livestock a bit, downsize, and concentrate more on the garden. It was easier for me. It was less work. It was maybe not less time consuming, but less work, less expensive. And it has worked for us. Some of the things that we concentrate on growing now, every year I enlarge that garden space a little bit, add another raised bed or two, and start growing some new plants, plants that are new to me, and just work on those and get better every year. I concentrate mostly on growing the fruits and the vegetables that we really like to eat the most. Also the ones that are expensive to buy in the store, such as blackberries. We have blackberries that grow wild here, and although they're invasive, they're awfully good to eat, so I do go out and pick those because they are very expensive to buy in the store. And also I grow the ones that are on the Dirty Dozen list. And I don't know if you've heard of this list, but every year this list contains the 12 fruits and vegetables that have the highest level of pesticides. We try to avoid those. So if something's on there that we really, really like to eat, we grow those, or we try growing those, rather than buying them from the store where they have been sprayed when they were growing. Strawberries are usually on that list. Apples are often on that list. So that's how we decide what to grow in the garden space that we have, which, as I said, is getting bigger every year. But it started out kind of small because my energy was put towards the livestock instead of towards the garden years ago. So that said, though, we do have some animals here still on the homestead. And a few days ago, I recorded this little bit about something else that we're doing on the homestead this year. We've done it before, we're doing it again, and I'd like you to take a look at that. So let's take a look.
Another thing we're doing on our homestead this year is raising meat birds. We've done this before a couple of times, but never this many at once. We've also raised pigs before in pairs, and we always called those ham and bacon. I couldn't tell you which one was ham and which was bacon, but that was their collective name, I guess. And we raised a steer one year. Other years we've bought beef from local ranchers and friends. Chickens, though, are so easy. They only take about 8 to 10 weeks before they're big enough to be butchered. They'll very quickly outgrow this space. This is about 5 by 10 feet, but we have an outside place that they'll go to at that point. The disadvantages, the problems with raising meat birds, is number 1, they stink. Problem number 2 is they stink. And problem number 3 is they poop so much that they stink. So it takes good hygiene. You have to really work at it and be consistent at that to kind of keep the smell down as much as you possibly can. We started out with 60 this year. We've lost 2. But we're very glad that we are able to do this. And really, you can raise meat birds in the suburbs. We have done it before we moved here to Oak Hill. We raised them in the garage. And because it's just 8 to 10 weeks, By the time they're ready to go, they haven't started crowing yet, and really your neighbors don't even know. As long as your laws approve the raising of chickens, yes, you have way more than the rules allow, but again, if they're in a closed space where nobody can see them, and you practice good hygiene, they'll be gone before they're a problem.
Hey guys, it's Shawna. So today we're talking about what we're doing right now. This is my place. I live here on 3.8 acres in a 100-year-old house. I've got my husband, 2 grown kids, their spouses, and 3 grandkids living with us right now. 4th grandkid's coming back from his mom's on Saturday, so we're pretty excited about that. But let me show you around a little bit. So here's most of my turkeys and chickens. I've actually got broad-breasted turkeys that are over a year old. They actually were laying eggs for a few months there. We were able to hatch a few out. So got some heritage turkeys. They're a little skittish. I also have a couple of noisy roosters. Then I have a couple mama hens that have hatched out babies. And we are so excited about that. This mama hen and a turkey hen are actually co-parenting a couple of chicks that they hatched together. Right here is some more chicks. These are turkins, also known as naked necks. They're kind of so ugly, they're cute. My daughter had to have them. I'm not as big of a fan. Here we have our Banty coop. Got a couple Banties in there. We've also got a broody hen in here. She's trying to hatch out some eggs. She doesn't like me messing with her. I guess she's all right today. So this is my greenhouse that I started all my seeds in. It's about time to take it down because it's too hot, so we're done with it for the season. Have a couple ducks here. They keep getting out for some reason. I think they need their wings trimmed again. We'll be doing this soon. And let me show you what else we've got. We have a lot of animals here. Raise a lot of our own food. Obviously we get lots of eggs. So here we have some rabbits in our colony. They've been a little difficult. We didn't get many babies out of them through the winter. We've only got a few babies and we lost them. We've just had horrible luck with baby rabbits. I've considered giving up on rabbits. So out here we have a smaller pasture, and we have our sheep. And a dog there in the kennel. It's our German Shorthair. Also have my sheep's coming to run for me. Also have my goats. And I don't know if you can see them because they're way out in the pasture, but got 2 horses. And a calf somewhere. Oh, that calf's over here. There he is. So we actually grow a big chunk of our own food here. And over here's our garden. Got a really big garden. It's about 100 foot by 100 foot. Finally got it all planted last week. Some of it's been in for a while. Got my spring crops in there. Got a pole bean teepee over there. It's got pole beans growing nicely on it. Well, you can't see them yet, but they're only about 4 inches tall right now. So I've been laying a bunch of mulch down on the garden because I just can't spend my whole summer gardening, or I mean weeding. And here the cow decided to come and see me. Hey buddy. So I guess that's it for now. What do you have going on right now?
Well, welcome back to me. Again, I'm Julie with the Farm Wife. We live in northwest Louisiana on 60 acres. We have cows, chickens, cats, and dogs, but there's a little bit of a difference. Depending upon who you talk to, some people might call us a small farm. Some people might call us a homestead. In my eyes, there's a little bit of a difference. A small farm is focused mainly on raising a crop, a single crop, a couple of things that they sell to other people. And I have to kind of laugh because I know a few farmers that they grow something, but they sell it all, so they have to go to the grocery store and buy the same thing. But as homesteaders, what we do is we take care of our family first. Our garden, our animals behind us for beef, we process that for our family first. Anything that is left over, then we sell it to the public. Now that could be fresh eggs, that could be meat birds, that could be excess vegetables, it could be value added like jams, jellies, pickles, that sort of thing. But primarily we fill our larder first. Most homesteads that you think of or hear about, they're anywhere from 1 acre to maybe 10, 15. We actually have 60. Because of that, we're able to do a little bit more than other people, but not as much as we want. We have cows. As you can see behind us, we have 16 head right now. Because you normally need at least 1 to 2 acres per head of cow, I can't have things like sheep or goat because all of our pasture is taken up with feeding them. To keep it as healthy as possible for the animals, we have 4 pastures and we rotate. This is the main pasture. Behind it, it's fenced off, and we have a second pasture. To the east of that, we have a 3rd pasture, and up here in the front, we have a 4th pasture. We also have 2 pastures that we use to cut hay. That keeps us from spending a small fortune on it in the fall and winter when we really need it. We also have garden areas. Now, in my case, because our property is broken up, I have 2 main garden areas, and then I have small flower beds. I incorporate vegetables and herbs and everything else in other beds. But overall, our property is used from the front gate all the way to the back line. We have 15 acres or so that is set aside for hunting. The country boy hunts deer. He also hunts wild pig. Now around here, a wild pig can tear up your property in no time flat. So we try to alleviate that as much as we can. It doesn't matter if you have 1 acre or if you have 60. You still have to outline what you want to do, where you want it, and it's got to be the best possible place to have it. In our case, our gardens, we look for sunny spots, but with good access to water. Our bees are right back here in the back corner. You can't see those, but we make sure they're far enough away where they don't get spoiled, but close enough to where they maintain the pollination of everything else we have. On our homestead, we raise fresh eggs, we raise meat birds, chicken, we have a garden that's got a whole bunch of different produce in it. We also do fall gardening. As you can see in here behind me, we raise our own beef. We have bees for honey, and hopefully one day we hope to incorporate a processing shed where we can do our own meat and that sort of thing that we hunt. I hope this explains everything to you. If you have any questions, just let me know. Look for some of the posts on our websites and we'll be glad to explain it to you if you still have questions. I look forward to seeing you the next time. Have a good evening.